I have a cool face. There's no point trying to deny it, okay? I mean, look at me. Look at that moustache, those beautiful eyes, that hairline, it's all perfect. So I've decided I want to make a piston door that has my face on it. Like this. This is what the door is actually going to look like. And I mean, this is silly even by my standards. Imagine how self-centered you'd have to be to build a door that is just your face. Your face opens to allow you in somewhere. I absolutely love this idea. I did it when I hit 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, but the scale was considerably smaller. But now that we have honey blocks, we can do some pretty interesting stuff. And as you can see, I've kind of laid out a bunch of pistons here just to work out how on earth I could potentially open this up. And believe it or not, if I tactically remove all of these redstone blocks here in the correct order, okay, you can actually get this piston door to open. So that means the proof of concept is there. It could function. I just have to do all of the redstone wiring for it, which is obviously far, far easier said than done. Now, if I remember correctly, first off, I have to retract all of these pistons. Then I have to retract all of these pistons and move everything out of the way. Then I retract all of these pistons. And then it's these ones, and then I retract the eye. Yeah, and then obviously to close it, we kind of have to do a slight reverse of all that stuff. I don't really know. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build each one of the individual circuits first. So the triple piston extenders, all of this stuff, and all of this stuff. I'll get that sorted, and then I'll start worrying about connecting it all. I also just want to say a huge thank you to Red Tech for creating this absolutely insane triple piston extender. It is tiny. I remember when triple piston extenders used to take up pretty much half the map. Like, you wouldn't be able to see the edge of it from here. So this is nuts. Right, stage 1 is all done. So we have got this little retraction system here that is going to take out my nose. So the nose, this little... oh no, this looks horrible. That's really terrifying. I'm not looking forward to watching my face be deconstructed gradually by this machine. But as I was saying, yeah, so it removes this kind of middle part of my nose, and then this whole area of my cheek. And then the next thing that goes is the full mustache, and these also go pretty early too. Now, for the full mustache, I've had to do some pretty interesting bits. So we've got a fairly similar circuit. If you look at the bare bones thing over here, you can see that they are almost identical with the way that they should be working. But I've had to do a little extra something, which is this pink line right here, which will just extend the first piston on the push. Because I think this is 11 blocks in total, this mustache and the skin and everything that has to be pushed. And that means that this back piston here, if we count that piston and that piston, it can't push it. Okay, it's over the push limit. So that means that we have to do a bit of premature firing and then fire the full set of pistons. But it should now all be working. If I remember correctly, we have to fire the top one first. That puts that segment in place. So that's all working. And then we fire this one. And that goes across, and that is my mustache replaced, and then all of these bottom ones extend. And there is my face, reconstructed. It's looking cool. And then on the retraction, it's kind of the opposite. So we retract these ones first, then we do this one. That will take that slice out, and then we do this one, and that will take that segment out. So this is going pretty well. I mean, we have removed a decent amount of the face there. And of course, for those of you who aren't really familiar with building piston doors like this, the reason I'm only working on one side is because the opposite side is of course going to be a direct mirror. So I'm going to do all of the redstone and all of the circuitry for this side, and then I'm just going to have to rebuild it again, but mirrored, which is by far one of the most frustrating experiences in the world, because always things go wrong. Next step of the process has been completed, leaving just my eye behind. We're actually making really strong progress here. So you can see my hairline and some of my forehead gets pushed downwards, and then here it is being all retracted out the way. And there wasn't really too much crazy that has to happen with this one, apart from just that little block retraction right there. That's the only kind of interesting thing that I had to do. Other than that, fairly plain sailing. So now it is just a simple double piston extender which retracts this floating eye and gets it into the wall and then pushes it out before all of this starts to drop down. I said the word simple double piston extender very confidently there. There's a lot of timing circuits involved, and it is now the next day, but I've managed to pull it off. So here we have the little eyeball in place. If we hit this button here, you can see the face gets retracted and then the eyeball gets retracted, and then when we hit the button again, you can see everything drops down, the eyeball gets pushed in place, then everything kind of slots in over it, and that is the final segment of this build. So that is the final circuit. And that means that the entirety of this side of the door has now been opened up. How big is this, by the way? It's 6x7. That's huge. That's a massive piston door. I remember the days before honey blocks were introduced into the game. A 6x7 door would be about... I mean, that would be a crazy undertaking, but now that we have honey blocks, it's kind of possible to do it in a manageable way. Anyway, now that we have all of the individual parts of the circuit in place, we now have to link all of these things together, time them correctly, and make sure that all of them operate in sequence, which... yes, can be quite tricky. And it all starts with some pulse extenders. You see, I built all of these circuits to be used with a stone button, which is a 10-tick redstone pulse. But when we're actually activating this thing, we're going to be using levers, so that means that I've created some 10-tick pulse generators that run into each one of these circuits, so now they should be easily connectable. I need to stop using the word easy and simple when I'm describing these things, because I imagine it won't be. Except it might be. It might actually be simple, because I've just taken a look, and it turns out the opening sequence goes top, middle, bottom, and then the closing sequence goes top, middle, bottom. They're exactly the same, which means... actually, we can do away with all of this pulse extender stuff, and we can just have a button, because the opening and closing sequence somehow are identical. I've never had that happen before. This is all very odd. Right, I'm just going to give this a go. Okay, I've made a backup, so that shows you how much faith I have in this system actually working first time. Yeah, ooh. Well, definitely seen better. Don't know what to say on that one. Let's try it again with some slightly different timings and also some things removed. And go. Okay, that's more promising. Ooh. Why is that firing and then retracting? That doesn't make any sense. It turns out it was all to do with the fact that I was using pistons to send signals downwards. So, for example, in this situation right here, I would have had a piston and then I would have had a redstone torch and that would run the signal across. But what you have to remember is that a piston, it takes 1 tick to extend but 0 ticks to retract, which means that your signal is shortened by 1 tick every single time you send a redstone signal with a piston, and that meant that, yeah, the signal was gradually getting shorter and it was breaking all of my piston extenders. But now I've fixed that, I've done a little bit of testing, and everything seems to be working, and it looks totally ridiculous. So here is kind of my cheeks being put in place, my chin's been installed, and then across comes the moustache, and there we go. We have got ourselves one full Mumbo face, and then when we hit the button again, everything gets peeled away like some kind of horrific horror movie. I mean, it's a bit of a terrifying redstone contraption, but it works. So now I have to do the laborious task of repeating all of this, building every single piece, block by block, repeater by repeater, redstone dust by redstone dust, on the other side, mirrored. Goodness me. So the good news is that Bling Edit, Seth Bling's data pack, would work with rotational mirroring and cloning and things like that. The bad news is that it doesn't seem to be working quite in Minecraft 1.15, and I've just loaded the world in Minecraft 1.14, and you can see that, well, my door's disappeared. Thank goodness I made a backup. So after spending a lot of time trying to work out if there's any easier way that I could do this, the answer is no. So, yeah, it's time to start just rebuilding. And you know what? It hasn't actually gone so badly so far. Things seem to be falling into place correctly. It's just a case of kind of mirroring things in my head and working off what I have constructed previously, but everything seems to be falling into place. I'd say we're at about halfway done. And 1 hour later, we are now all 100% done. And I have aged about 14 years. And 20 minutes after recording that clip just there with the blank screen, now we're all done. Yeah, there was still things that weren't quite working, even though I thought the door was finished. It's been tough, but it's been worth it, because look at this. This is the most ridiculous stupid piston door I think I've ever built in my entire life, and I am so happy that I decided to build it, and I 100% want this to be an entrance to my base at some point in time. It's so crazy. Oh, I'm just glad that it's done. I'm so glad that it's done. It's been ages since I've worked on like a big redstone project. I've been doing a lot of slime block and honey block based projects, but I have not just dived straight into a serious circuit based project in a long time. So it's actually been really interesting. It's been good fun. I need to do more of this sort of thing. And I also want to issue you guys a bit of a challenge to those of you who are crazy good at redstone circuits and things. I'm sure this could be made a lot more compact, and I'm sure it could be made a lot faster as well. So I want to issue a challenge to the community to make this door as small and as fast as possible. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. But anyway, I really hope you enjoyed. There will be a world download down in the description, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya. And I'm serious, by the way, seriously. Please do go away and create the smallest, fastest version of this piston door, because if it is small and fast enough, I will build it on the Hermitcraft server, and I will make it the entrance to my base. Right now, this is way too big. My whole base would be taken up by it, but if it's compact enough, I will do it, because that would be absolutely hilarious.